Okay, what is up, YouTube and even Twitch? We are live. I am CW of Go Cats Hoops. This is my last live stream of the year. So we're going to do a year in review for the NBA 2024. Excuse me. Hope you guys had a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I hope you enjoyed it. Had a great time with your family, with your friends, whomever you were with. Just hope you guys enjoyed it and are getting back into the normal rat race. But we still got New Year's, so we got some time to have some more fun and to just enjoy these times where we get some downtime. Of course, 2024 has been a crazy year for the NBA. If you've been following it, you know, from January 1st to now, it's just been somewhat of a roller coaster. And we're going to speak on all of that. If you haven't checked out the new videos on my channel, I have one ranking the decades, which is the final video in my series. I did the 80s, 90s, and then the 2000s versus 2010s. Then I rank all of them, and you know, you can check that out on the channel if you haven't checked that out yet. Really appreciate you guys for helping this channel grow. It's been a labor of love. I mean, I enjoy what I do. I've had a great 2024 and hope to continue that into 2025. So I'm gonna try to, you know, every little thing you guys give to me, I'm gonna try to put it back into the channel. So with that said, let's talk about the 2024 year in the NBA. Of course, we started off in, you know, January up until playoffs. I thought the playoffs were pretty good this year. Can't really talk bad about the playoffs this year. You know, I felt like there was some parity. We got to see some new teams. You had your Dallas team, their Minnesota team. You had the Pacers of all teams in the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, a very, very good, well-oiled, polished team in the Boston Celtics who were, you know, just phenomenal throughout the playoffs this past year. And they won that championship, you know. So I felt like we ended the 2023-2024 season on a high note with the Boston Celtics. It's a big market team. It's a team that has its built-in fan base, you know, a big fan base. So, yeah, so I thought we ended well. We had a phenomenal, to me, Olympic tournament where if you were like me, you were kind of scared. Also, what's up to my Twitch family over there? This is streaming, simulcasting on Twitch too. So we're going to try to have more of a Twitch presence in the 2025 year. So shout out to you guys over there. Anyway, so, you know, we had phenomenal Olympics. Looked kind of scary for the U.S. team. We at one point we were wondering, are we going to medal? Because Serbia looked like they were going to take us out, and then, you know, we would have to go to the bronze knockout game, and who knows at that point. But the guys brought it home for us. You know, we'll talk about that later on as we discuss this year in review. But first and foremost, we're going to do our best, worst, craziest, dumbest. We're just going to go through the gamut of things, and we got quite a few. Then I'm going to do my wish list for 2025, and I'll do my predictions for 2025. So we'll go through those right now. So I hopefully Restream is working well because this is just my second time using it, so I'm not sure how good Restream is. And also, and to go back to what I was talking about, we had a great Olympics. Now this year is a roller coaster year because the main topic has been the decline of ratings for the NBA. You know, we did have a bounce back with the Christmas games this past Wednesday, which were great. You know, I thought the NBA did a good job of putting together those games this year. I think the great thing is they were exciting. You know, they did have a challenge from the NFL. You know, the ratings and numbers show that, you know, it wasn't a big win for the NBA, but they did better than they've done in the past 5 years. So that's That's commendable. But it's crazy how certain content creators, certain YouTubers try to twist it and make it seem like the decline in ratings has nothing to do with the state of basketball being what it is right now. And they try to do that by discrediting past eras, past decades. I've seen it in the last couple of days. We've seen content creators just kind of dismantle certain eras and try to make it like, those eras were just as bad, and this is the greatest era. But you have to think, if enough people say there's a problem and they're not enjoying it like they used to, there's got to be some truth to it. And in the end, there can be two truths. The current NBA can be more skilled or more advanced because they do have analytics, so they're shooting more efficient shots. I don't mean they're taking better shots, but they're shooting more efficient shots. So while it may not be aesthetically pleasing, they're still putting together solid basketball by metrics and by advanced analytics. But what also can be true is that it's not fun to watch. People just don't enjoy watching this form of basketball. And that's what content creators and people are trying to say. If enough people say it, there has to be some truth to it. I see people saying, well, Charles Barkley, those guys, they're the ones that are driving fans away. But how does that make sense when inside the NBA plays during a live basketball game? So why would they do things that would drive fans away when that's who they want the eyeballs? That's who they want watching. They want basketball fans watching. But they want to be truthful. They want to tell the truth. They want to tell you or give you their opinions. And if their opinion says, I'm not feeling this current era of basketball, then, there has to be some truth to it. They give their reasons why. So they don't want to drive people away, but they also want the product to be something that they can enjoy talking about, enjoy giving their opinions and giving their expert opinions and expert thoughts on. So that's a little caveat, and we'll at some point at a later date we'll speak on that. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this live stream, and that is the best, worst, craziest, and dumbest of the year. So we're going to start with the best team of the year so far, and I don't think there's much debate on that because this year has been pretty much dominated by one team. I think we all know what team that is, but give me a second. I'm going to bring that up. The team, obviously, that has dominated 2024 has been the Boston Celtics. They are the 2024 NBA champions. They've come in this season. They are second out East. I don't think they really have had a championship hangover as much as they know they have to pace themselves. They've had a long summer, some of them. You had three of their players on the Olympic team. Now, one didn't get to play as much as the others, but they did have three of their starters on that Olympic team. So with that being said, those guys, they have to pace themselves. They play deep into the playoffs, obviously to the finals. Then they had to get ready, go into training camp, go into practice for the Olympic team, go over to Paris and do their thing. And, then get right back here, have a little downtime, and then get right back into the season in the full swing of things. So I could see, I see tonight Drew Holiday was out, and Jaylen Brown has had some hip issues, and Porzingis is just coming back and things of that nature. So they've got to pace themselves because they want and need their full squad if they want to repeat, which, we'll talk about that later, but I think they have a pretty good chance of doing so. So with that said, let's move on to our next topic, which is most intriguing storyline of the season of 2024. And I think that this is pretty easy for me. And I don't know about you guys. If you think differently, please chime into the show. But I feel like the most intriguing storyline of this year is the last hurrah of three of the major players of the past decade, which is Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. And of course, we saw those guys during the Christmas telecast of the games, have a sit down where they were all talking about, the game and how things have changed and how they've, navigated the game of basketball as three of the very top stars of this era. And we're seeing the cracks in their game. We're seeing them get old, some more than others. LeBron's not what LeBron was. Steph ain't what Steph has been. And KD, KD is pretty consistent, but he's not the guy he once was, obviously. He's older. So with that said, I think the storyline that this could be one of the last times we see these guys, because these guys, despite what we want to think, despite, how much we want to hate and talk negatively about these guys are carrying the NBA. We don't have a current contingency plan for when they leave. We thought we did, but some of these guys aren't panning out how we want to. And, some guys' game isn't translating to much must-watch TV. So having these guys, on the last legs of their careers is, it's intriguing to know that pretty soon we will not see Steph Curry. Pretty soon we will not see Kevin Durant. And pretty soon we will not see LeBron James. And maybe sooner than some think. But with that said, we want to move on to our next category. These are superlatives of the last year. So we're just going through these and, just giving my thoughts on, who fits that superlative. So now the saddest, is it coming up? There's a little delay. But next is the saddest storyline. I think if we've been watching the NBA for the last probably since 2020, the saddest part is injuries. Guys cannot stay on the court. And we'll probably discuss this on the podcast channel. If you haven't subscribed there, if you haven't been there yet, please subscribe to the GoatCast podcast channel, where we do a live stream mostly every week with myself, Big Nige, and others. So check that out. But we will probably discuss, why are there so many injuries? We've talked about that during the Christmas holiday, and we've come up with some theories. But, just looking at these, these star players, they're not old. Some of these guys haven't even hit 30 yet or have just hit 30, and they can't stay on the court. Why is that? We have many technological advances right now. We have, systems in place for them to heal after games and to have cryogenic chambers and things of that nature to keep them from having these crazy injuries. But it's like these guys are constantly injured, from Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard will hopefully be back soon, but, we don't know if he's coming back, when he's coming back. He's supposed to come back next week, but, they're putting an eye on him, so we don't know. Giannis, we haven't seen Giannis in the playoffs for the past 2 seasons. Those are major guys that are just not in the game, that should be in the game. So with those guys not having any, any type of just consistency when it comes to playing, it's crazy. Young guys like LaMelo Ball, you see him out all the time. Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons, the list goes on. That is the saddest storyline, is that we can't keep star players. So when Steph, KD, and LeBron, who, those guys are advanced age, so them being out shouldn't be a shocker. Even though most of those guys have been durable. I know Steph, since his ankle problems when he first started in the NBA, if you remember back then, he had lots of ankle injuries, and to the point that they were mad when the Golden State Warriors traded Monte Ellis for Andrew Bogut, which ended up being a big-time move, a great move, but they wanted Steph gone because Steph couldn't stay on the court. He was constantly hurt. But when he finally got that ankle injury together, we've seen he's been mostly durable. KD's had his time off. LeBron too. But for the most part, those guys have been able to play when needed. So now seeing these guys just not being able to be on the court for long periods, that's where you have to give guys like Russell Westbrook their flowers, because however you feel about Russell Westbrook, he's been out there playing his hardest. You rarely see him out for long periods of time. And he plays the game at an elite level hard every game. So, so with that said, there was a sad storyline, but it's since fixed itself. And that was the end, or potentially end, of, let me pull it up, inside the NBA. We thought with the whole sale and well, we thought with the contracts renewing and the NBA going to NBC, and their deal changing some, we thought that we were losing them going away from TNT and things of that nature, Warner Brothers, Warner Discovery, that we were losing inside the NBA, which is, to me, one of the most important shows for the NBA, because you have 3 respectable NBA players who, those guys got money. Those guys don't have to fit a narrative. They're not under a certain umbrella where they have to talk a certain way or talk about a certain topic. They can say, Charles Barkley, you can't put Charles Barkley in a box. You can't tell him what to say. You can't tell, Shaq, to a certain degree, you can't tell Shaq what to say. Shaq's going to say what he wants to say, because technically he doesn't need inside the NBA. Shaq's got money all over the place, but these guys give it to you raw. They give it to you real. And that's what, as NBA fans, that's what you want to see. You want to see a show that doesn't sugarcoat anything. And as we know, Charles Barkley does not sugarcoat anything. So with that said, we thought we were losing it. And fortunately, the powers that be have brought it back. It will be a part of ESPN. I don't know how I feel about that, because ESPN might get into their ears and say, you know what, we need you to say this, that, or the other. We're not going to talk about, what the media does and who they champion and what not. But, I'll have to see. I'm going to have to see if there's going to be some type of change in the inside the NBA crew. I hope not. I really hope not. I hope it's just as authentic as it is now on TNT, and it'll be the same when it's on ESPN. But we'll see. But that was a sad story, because we thought we had lost Chuck, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, and Shaq, but they live on for another day. So now we're going to move on to the best acquisition of the year so far. And I have a couple of names. I'm not going to do all of them, but I'm going to just name them out. I got, some screenshots of all of them, but I believe Isaiah Hartenstein, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Chris Paul are the best acquisitions of the year, because all three of those guys have seamlessly blended into their teams. Number one, I feel like Cat, although he's not playing at the same level defensively, is playing at a great level for that New York Knicks team. You know, Isaiah Hartenstein, he shores up a problem OKC had. Now they have a tough interior guy. No disrespect to Chet. Chet is a great player, but his body type and just his style is just not. It's just not going to get it done when you have to face the Jokic's of the world, or if you had to face the Giannis's of the world, and even to a lesser extent the Wemby's of the world. So you got a guy that can do the dirty work, that can take care of that, rebound, and do the things that you may not want to do, or you may not be able to do at a high level. And it shores him up so he could be a sniper on the outside. He can be an offensive threat because obviously he's the number two option in my mind on that OKC Thunder team. Of course, we haven't got to see that for a while because he's been injured. But once he gets back and they got the whole squad together, Chet and Hartenstein haven't played together yet. So when they finally get together, I think we're going to see a whole different team. I think we're going to see what OKC is really made of. I think it's going to be something special. Now, Karl Anthony Towns, New York has had a little few issues, but they're still one of the top teams out east. You know, they're primed to be a playoff team. And he's playing offensively. He's playing phenomenal. He still has the issue of where he's just very, very foul prone. He's not a smart defender. That's one key area where Cat just doesn't get it. But once Mitchell Robinson returns, they are another team that doesn't have their full roster yet. And when they get it, should be a completely different team. Once Mitchell Robinson's there, who can take care of the big man, the 5 position, that team's going to be a different team. And with Cat playing as well as he is, and Jalen Brunson being able to divvy out, know when he needs to score and when to get Cat going, that team's going to be tough out east. I'm kind of down on the East this season. Some of the teams aren't looking that great, but with them playing, with what they have, that's going to be a good team. And also Chris Paul, he has the San Antonio Spurs playing much better. That pick and roll with him and Wemby, or pick and pop, has been phenomenal. And he just proves once again that he is the point guard. He's not giving you what he once could because he's older, obviously, 39 years old. He played the point guard position. He can't get up and down like he once could, but he is definitely a big time contributor to that Spurs team that's looking much better than last year. Right now they're in a spot where they could potentially be in the play-in, or even somehow sneak their way into the playoffs. So I think those 3 guys, Hartenstein, Karl Anthony Towns, and Chris Paul, are the best acquisitions so far this season, and they're showing it because I don't think there was many great pickups during the trade deadline of February last year. So those guys coming over mostly during the off season of the NBA, I think they've done a great job. So the worst acquisition of the year so far, and the year's almost over, so he can win this title, but he can make up for what he's been doing, because actually they've been playing a little bit better. So maybe his me saying the things I'm saying, maybe I should change my tune. But Paul George, man, the guy's making $211 million. And right now, is he a third option with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid actually playing? I guess so. But what's his name? Jared McCain, before he went down, that guy was legitimately, you could say he was one of their options. And right now, Paul George is averaging 15 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5.5, you round up to 6. But I mean, is that $211 million worth? 16, we'll round up, it's 15.8. We'll round up to 16 points per game and 6 rebounds. Playoff, or I'm not gonna call him playoff peak, but Paul George, that's what we're doing. So yeah, he has been so far. I say he's the worst, but he's just not fitting. He's not, and I said this at the beginning of the season. I might have said it on this channel, or I said it on our podcast channel. This was going to be similar to what Milwaukee went through last season with Dame Lillard, because you have a guy in Paul George who, while he's been not the one option always, but he's at least been the second option. So he's going to get his shots up. Now he's not going to be able to get his shots up at the clip he wants to, and it's going to hurt. You know, he's got to pick and choose. He's got to know when to go after it, and when he needs to try to be something different. I don't think Paul George is the defender he once was. He was once a solid wing defender, but he's not quite that now. And he can't stay on the court. He's in and out. He's injury prone, which he's been injury prone he was injury prone for the Clippers. So that's not saying a whole lot. So with him, being in and out, I think we have to look at that and realize that it's going to take some time. And the one thing I don't know if playoff P has is time. I mean, he's got a podcast he's got to worry about. He's done more podcast episodes than he has played NBA games this season. So, he's got to prioritize. And right now it seems like the podcast is a little more important. Let's keep moving with this. Let's go to somebody we've been sleeping on, or a team, a player we've been sleeping on. And I feel like this team was heavily criticized last season, rightfully so, but this season has really made some leaps in the right direction. And this player has made a leap into the right direction and should be, in my opinion, an all-star this year. And somebody we've been sleeping on is Cade Cunningham. How do I know? Because he's part of my fantasy league, and he's been playing phenomenal when he plays. And the Detroit Pistons, I haven't looked at the scores tonight. I don't even know if they're playing tonight. But the last time I checked, they had won 14 games this season so far, which was the same amount of games they won last season. So the fact that we're not even mid-season yet, and they're already at the total wins they got last season, tells you what you need to know. Cade Cunningham has been phenomenal. He is an all-star level player right now. I'd have to pull up his averages, but pretty sure he's averaging plus 20 points and playing fairly and playing well. And Detroit as a whole, Duran, the center, playing well. They added Malik Beasley and Tobias Harris. those guys, they're not great, obviously, but they're playing well. And we've seen a change and a shift in that team. And they are actually a team that, for the most part, can beat elite teams. We've seen them beat the Lakers. We've seen them give Boston trouble. So this is a team that is righting the wrongs that was the 2024 early 2024 season, 2023-2024 season, and now heading into 2025, they look like a well-oiled machine, a team that could slip into the playoffs and actually give teams a run for their money. So kudos to Cade Cunningham, who is playing much better than he was last year. And kudos to the Detroit Pistons, who are looking like a team that could be on the move. And this might be a team that could get some, could be a destination for some solid pieces. So look out for them going on in the future. So let's keep going. We're at our craziest performance of the year, and there's been some good ones. Jokic this season has done some phenomenal things. Giannis too. The playoffs, we've had some. Luka had some good moments. Jamal Murray hitting those game winners. LeBron doing LeBron things at his advanced age. But I think this performance, even though it wasn't in the NBA, but by an NBA player, you can't deny it. And that was Steph Curry's Olympic play during that gold game against France, who, for what it looked like for a little while, looked like it was going to maybe creep up on the Team USA and potentially get a win. And that was a tough game for Team USA. And if it wasn't for the just phenomenal, insane shots that Steph made towards the end, they may not have gotten the separation needed. And, Wemby and those guys were really, they were coming after you. They were going after it. So it was looking a little dangerous throughout that gold medal game. And France wasn't backing down. And that's the thing. These countries aren't scared of the U.S. anymore. So they were doing great. But it was Steph Curry and his sharpshooting antics that really created that separation that got us the gold championship or gold medal and put us top of that podium. So, kudos to Steph Curry. I mean, if you didn't see it, go back and watch those highlights because it was just phenomenal. And the guy just proved why he is a special player all time. So let's keep this thing going. For some reason, I'm missing some, but that's fine. Let's talk about the biggest disappointment of the year. And I think this player, I think unfortunately is too little too late now for this player. In 2024 presented him the case to really catapult himself into a place where he just hasn't gotten yet. And even though he's been a solid player, great player, when he plays, but that's the key. You just can't stay on the floor. And I'll go back to that play-in tournament game. The guy scored 40 points and was on pace to take his team to potentially 7th seed. But hamstring injury hampered that. Got into shape over the summer. We saw him. We heard all of the things about his contract and about him having, weight clauses in his contract. Came back. We called him Ozempic Zion because he had gotten into shape, and that should tell you who it is. Zion Williamson has been the biggest disappointment of the year so far. And I think we have to be real. He's been in the NBA for a while now, and he just hasn't. He's has 2 All-Stars. He's been a solid player, but he's just not what we thought he would be. And I think if you want to be a great player, there's certain things you have to do. And the fact that he hasn't taken this seriously because he's continuously been out, and you can say what you want, but obviously the way his style of play mixed in with his body type has been the reason why he hasn't done or been what we thought he could be. And I think it's over. He's a bust. We talked about this on the podcast channel, but I think there's no denying it. He's a bust, and you can't blame anybody. There's nobody you can blame. Getting yourself in shape is a you thing. It's not the team doesn't have to. It's not up to the team to get you in shape. It's not up to anybody else to get you in shape. It's up to you as a player to get in shape. And the fact that he hasn't gotten himself into the shape he should be in to play and have some longevity in the NBA, that's a you problem. So he's going to be right now he's a disappointment, but right now he's shown us who he is. So from here on out, no, he's not a disappointment. He is who he is. And that's a really sad thing because, he had a lot of hype. I hate for him to not reach what he could have been. And I'm sure we'll see glimpses of who he can be when he finally comes back and hopefully gets himself under some control. But I think it's too late to call him, anything other than, a solid player who just isn't taking the game of basketball seriously. So yeah, he is the biggest disappointment of this year. So our last superlative is at first I had the dumbest take of the year, which this person won also. But then I was listening through some of my old clips from some of my other shows. I was like, this has to go in there. So it's not necessarily a take. It's a comment, but it easily wins the dumbest comment of the year. Now, he would have won for dumbest take too, but I think once you listen to this and you'll know who this person is, I think you'll realize he had one of the dumbest comments as a public figure.
God. We almost lost. Come on, man. And the king had to save. Us. I know the LeBron haters are mad. Almost lost to the Ahi tribe. This is crazy. What is going on, man? Embiid over there throwing the game. He throwing the game for his cousins and shit. What's this is? I don't even know where to find the box score. We winning on layups at the end of the game. Like, what is I don't know where the box score is. I already had my excuses. This just preseason. We still trying to figure out lineup, but God, come on, y'all. We don't supposed to be losing to air up there. Come on, man. Cool Runnings. We don't supposed to lose to the Cool Runnings team. That's the last team we supposed to lose to or be close with. They don't even have shoes. They get their shoes from America. We got to ship them shoes. They had to use the shoes that we have extra, leftover shoe. They use leftover shoes that the USA team didn't want. Y'all can use these. They don't even have basketball rims, dog. Feed the children. Send wheat, send water and bread. Them. That's who we almost lost to. Y'all are, man, this is getting almost lost to damn Cool Runnings out in this bitch, man. South Sudan, not regular Sudan. South, but you know Africans.
Yeah, so you heard that. You know who that is. Now I had him winning dumbest take for his take on the Europeans earlier this year. But I don't think anything tops his take on South Sudan. Of course, that's in reference to the exhibition game Team USA played against South Sudan, where it took some crazy effort by LeBron and that team to beat them in an exhibition game. So he took the time to just disgrace South Sudan and those players. And it was a longer clip, but you got the gist of it. Yeah. So Gilbert Arenas, I'll say I enjoy Gil's Arena. Not always for his take, but it is entertaining to hear former NBA players talk about the game and do it in a way that is not as professional. I'm not saying not as professional, but in a way that they can be a little more free than they can on, say, ESPN or Fox Sports or any of those places. So you get a raw take of their perspective, but in the end, even though they are former players, that doesn't mean they're right. And this, of course, that wasn't a part of Gil's Arena. That was a part of, Gil's his YouTube channel when he used to live stream a lot. Dumbest comment of the year, and I don't think he has much challenge there. So let's move on to my wish list of the year. And if anybody's in the chat, please feel free to give your thoughts on any of these topics. So wish list for the 2025 season. What do I want to see in 2025? What do I want to see? I want to see a good All-Star weekend. I think we do give the All-Star weekend a tough time. We talk about, these guys, they have to have some integrity. They got to play harder. We need this, and this. But at the end of the day, All-Star weekend is supposed to be a good time for all involved. It's supposed to be a good time for us fans. It's supposed to be a good time for those players that were bestowed the honor of being selected for the All-Star team. But at the end, it's supposed to be fun for everybody. And I think some players and some people talked about how that it's more of a, these guys have to do a lot of, meet and greets and parties and stuff throughout the week. So they don't get a lot of time to do other things, then, do those things and then have to go to these practices and have to go to, the games and do that. So they don't get a lot of time to do the things they probably want to do. They want to hang out with people. They want to just let loose and do their thing too. So we got to be understanding of that also. But at the end of it, you really want something. You want to see the All-Star weekend back. I don't know what that will take. I don't know if it's. I'm going to be. I'm not going to hate on the new format too much. It's weird, but I want to see how it plays out. We just need. You don't know what that one thing is. We just need. We'll probably never get it. Now with these guys injured all the time. We need an Anthony Edwards versus Ja Morant or, some kind of dunk contest like that. We don't want G League guys coming in and stealing that from us. Nowadays teams are kind of scared for guys to participate in the skills challenge because you never know, they might pull something, so it's just crazy. So we just need something to excite us, the fans, and just excite everybody for this All-Star weekend. So I don't know what that will be, but we just need that. I just hope that this year's, and we saw this year's Christmas games, they did better than they've done in the past 5 years. So maybe something will spark this year's All-Star Weekend, and we'll get something that's really entertaining. My next wish list is will we get that we will get some type of rivalry. I thought that was going to be Ant-Man and Ja again, but that's kind of tapered off. Minnesota ain't as good as they were, and Ja's in and out. But we have to get some type of rivalry. We have one, I believe, budding with maybe Denver and Lakers, but it's been a very one-sided rivalry so far. But even you want to see Boston and Cleveland kind of clash because they're the top of the East. We've kind of seen Boston and Milwaukee kind of, we've seen Jaylen Brown and Giannis kind of going back and forth. This is what's needed to bring some type of hype and some type of interest to the NBA because, say what you want, back in the 90s, you knew the Knicks didn't like the Bulls. You knew the Pacers didn't like the Bulls. You knew, later on, you knew the Lakers and Spurs were, they were going to go at each other in the 2000s. The Lakers and Celtics, even that has kind of died off some. But you knew these teams, whenever those teams got on the floor, Phoenix and San Antonio, Dallas and San Antonio, those teams went at each other. And you knew it was going to be something special every time they got on the court. We need that. We kind of have that with the Lakers and Warriors, but it's a kind of dying rivalry, if you want to call it that. And it just doesn't have the hype that some of the ones in the past did. But I can see it coming back. And Wemby and Chet have, they have a little rivalry going, but we want to see those teams right now. OKC and San Antonio, that's not exactly a rivalry. If those two go on the court, those two are going to go at each other and play well. But do you really think San Antonio, as currently constructed, is going to do anything against the OKC Thunder? No. So please, we need some more. We need some rivalries, more breakout stars. And what I mean is I said this is close to the last hurrah for Steph, KD, LeBron. We need those next stars. And a guy like Wemby, he's not there yet. Ant-Man, he's taking a step back this season. He's just not playing, and that could be due to Julius Randle kind of not giving him the room to work like he needs to and wants to. But we need these breakout stars. We thought Ja Morant was a breakout star, but he's had his legal troubles, and then he's been injured. Zion, he's had his weight problems. You have some lesser known guys coming through. Jalen Suggs and guys of that nature. Even SGA. They're just not sticking with fans right now. And even though they are great players, we just need to, and that's going to come with the media too. They've got to, people were mad at Jokic for beating SGA last season, but they weren't highlighting SGA like they should have. We should have known more. He should have been a highlight reel every single inside the NBA, NBA coverage on ESPN and other places. That should have been the case because he was a great player, but we didn't hear about him until later on. So, they have to put more of a focus on these breakout players. LaMelo, he's playing well. Cade Cunningham that I talked about earlier. They got to put some focus on these guys. Even if their team's not winning, they got to show that these guys are coming. Cleveland, when LeBron came, Cleveland wasn't always winning, but they had a phenomenal, game changer in LeBron James that they focused on. They got to focus on some of these young guys to really help the NBA, stay where it should. We need a marquee NBA final. That's obvious. The past couple of seasons, we had 2022, we had the Warriors and Boston. Boston wasn't there yet. If that had been the Warriors and this version of Boston, different scenario, but not the case. The Nuggets and Miami, as good as Miami is, they're one of the scrappiest team in the NBA, but that, no. And then, of course, last year, Boston and Dallas, while solid, some marquee names in that series, it just wasn't, we need a Lakers and Celtics. Maybe not this version of Lakers, but we need what we got in the late 2000s. We need, I don't know, maybe a Nuggets. This is just me talking, but I think it would be great to see Giannis versus Jokic in the NBA Finals. So Milwaukee Bucks, Denver Nuggets, New York Knicks against, I don't know, OKC. I don't know if that's really the greatest, team, the greatest playoff game, but something like that. This version of Boston would be absolutely. I think this version of Boston would be a lot of teams. So I'm gonna get to that in my predictions, but you just need that marquee matchup. You need something that we got to see. It's like must see. And so far the last couple of years just hasn't had that. Even going back to 2021 with Milwaukee and Phoenix, you had some star power, but those weren't series that are must watch. So we need that again. Also, my wish list: less inefficient 3-point shots. I think I am not one of those guys that are harping against the 3-point shot. I just hate inefficient 3-point shots. What I mean by that is guys that are all obviously have a man in front of them that's going to chuck up a shot. If you're wide open, obviously take the 3 every time. If you're open, take any shot. I heard other content creators today saying, when you're open, a 3-point shot is a good shot. Absolutely. Any shot that you're open, whether you're underneath the basket, whether you're at the mid-range, whether you're at the 3, take the shot if you're open. But if you're not open and trying to force 3-point shots, especially guys that aren't exceptionally efficient to shoot threes, you don't want I'm trying to think of somebody. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but you don't want these guys. You don't want Brook Lopez. I mean, even though he can make them, you don't want him always taking a 3. So you want guys taking efficient 3-point shots. And efficient 3-point shots, in my opinion, are wide open 3-point shots, not 3-point shots where you have to take a step back and try to create space. But when the space is already there, not everybody can be Steph Curry. Not everybody can be Klay Thompson. So, they can kind of hit the shot with people in their space. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody's a Reggie Miller who could do it also. But, we want to see efficient 3-point shot, not inefficient. Who you have going to the finals, the Celtics or Cavs? If you had to choose right now, I would choose the Boston Celtics. I would love to see a Giannis and Jokic matchup in the NBA Finals. That would be must-watch TV because both those guys, when they match up, it's actually a pretty good game. Giannis usually gets a little bit of the better of Jokic, but that would be just incredible. So finally going to my predictions for 2025. And we'll start with, I think Adam Silver will make some rule changes in the offseason and try to bring some eyeballs back. Now, what those changes are, I don't know. Because I don't think you can just change. You can say, okay, be more physical. That's not going to work. People saying we want the 90s back are saying they want the feel of the 90s, not necessarily the gameplay of the 90s, because that's a completely different mentality that these players aren't going to get overnight. So for the NBA to play like the 90s, it's going to take a decade for them to get to that mindset because you have to bring in different style of players to play 90s style basketball. You can't just take the current era basketball players and say play like they did back then, which was a more physical, just even if you bring back hand checking and things of that nature, those guys aren't going to play that way because they're programmed to play a certain way. It's going to have to start in the middle schools, in the public schools, in AAU. They're going to have to start pushing this type of play for players to really get that type of gameplay. So saying you want the 90s back, as much as you might want it, it's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. And plus, like I said, these players play a completely different style now. So you're not going to get those style of players currently in the NBA. So, I don't know what rules Adam Silver can change, but something has to give to where the games become more watchable. I don't know. Maybe make the 3-point 2 and make anything within the 3-point line at 3. I don't know. But it's got to be something done. My second prediction for 2025, a surprise team gets the number 1 pick. Cooper Flagg, I think if he has a phenomenal March Madness NCAA tournament, he's a guy that they can market. They can get behind. In the last couple of years, we've seen guys go to small markets. We've seen Zion go to New Orleans. We've seen Ja, and we've seen Anthony Edwards. We've seen these guys go to teams that are small market teams. They've got to get somebody, some young player into a big market. Now, I'm not saying the draft is rigged at all, but I'm saying, you might want a Chicago. Chicago's trying to do everything they can to get a good draft pick. I could see Cooper Flagg somehow getting to Chicago or someplace like that because you need these young players in these bigger markets. Chicago has been irrelevant for long enough. They have to do something to bring that team back. So I'm not saying that if the ping pong balls are going to, fall the right way, but my prediction says it will, and we'll see a team like Chicago get that number 1 draft pick and somehow get Cooper Flagg. Now, who they put around him, we'll see. But I think they want, because with these declining ratings, they want these big markets to be teams that they can market. Chicago's a big market. Finally, New York has come back. LA is still LA. Golden State has moved up into they're more of a big market now. Miami's still viable. They're a pretty big market. So you want players that fit that mold, and you want players that they can put these teams on television. You can't put Chicago as currently constructed on TNT or ESPN. It's just not, nobody's going to watch that. So I think we're going to see a surprise team get that number 1 pick. Stephen Castle of the San Antonio Spurs will be the Rookie of the Year. I think if you've been watching him and watching those, lottery players, he's, to me, head and shoulders above. So I don't think that's going to be too crazy of a take, but I predict he will be the Rookie of the Year. I'm a Spurs fan, so I'm biased. The Bucks go far in the playoffs. Now, some people will probably, go against that, but I think even as currently constructed, without a trade or anything, maybe they find something good on the buyout market. But I think even as currently constructed, Milwaukee, if Giannis can be there in the playoffs, we haven't seen him in the last 2 playoffs, so they've suffered for that. When we saw him in 22 or 2023, and he was already injured, so he wasn't much of a factor. But if we could see Giannis as a factor in the playoffs, I think the Bucks can surprise a lot of teams, and I think they can make it to the conference finals. Can they beat Boston? I don't know. I don't think so. I think they could beat Cleveland. As crazy as that sounds, I think they have enough veteran talent and even a veteran coach. We don't like Doc Rivers, but I think he could figure out ways to beat Cleveland because Cleveland is a 3-point shooting team. Cleveland does have the personnel to stifle Giannis though, with both Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They have two bigs that are mobile, so that helps them. But playoff Giannis is at times a different beast. We've seen Boston, kind of lock him up, but Boston's a different beast in its own self. So I think the Bucks will go far. I could be wrong, but I think, even with the Knicks being who they are, maybe the Sixers will pull it together. Magic will get their players back. I still think the Bucks are a dangerous team. I don't think this is a crazy prediction, but I do believe the Boston Celtics repeat. I think they will get back to the finals. I don't see a Western Conference team, excuse me, that can beat them. I don't see an Eastern Conference team that can beat them. Just like I didn't see one last year either. I think the biggest thing is that if they fall in love with the three-point shot, which they tend to do sometimes, and they let games get away from them, which they almost let happen last year. They let Cleveland get a game. They let I can't remember who they played in the first round, but they let them get a game. If they let teams get a game or two, get that confidence up, then that's a different story. But I think they're veteran enough. They know what to do. I think they will be repeat champions. I don't see out west. OKC is not ready to face that Boston Celtics team, especially healthy. If Boston is healthy, they're not ready for that. Denver, come on. LA, the Lakers, I think they would be an interesting matchup. Can they beat them? I don't think so. I think they have too much. And even though the Lakers have done things to help them defensively with that Dorian Finney-Smith trade, they don't have the defense to deal with. I mean, Boston has 5 players on the court that could kill you at all times. Even when they go onto their bench, Pritchard, Hauser, those guys can light you up. And of course, they're starting 5. There's not a huge drop-off. Random. Yeah, I think they're definitely – I don't see them a team out there that will beat them. Yeah, exactly. Lakers don't have enough depth. But I think a team like the Lakers who can play half-court basketball can give the Celtics some trouble. Because any team that can kind of run on them, I think they're too good defensively. But half-court teams that can actually work the ball inside and score, I think will give the Boston Celtics some trouble. But I don't think the Lakers, they just, they need something other than just AD in that department and LeBron. So no, I don't think I think they repeat. I think the Spurs make a summer splash. We're hearing possibly De'Aaron Fox. Now that the Kings seem to be ready to blow it up, got rid of Mike Brown. Excuse me. So I think that the Spurs are going to make some moves, and I think that I hate for Devin Vassell to go, but I think the fact that Stephon Castle is having a great season, that they may be more willing to let somebody like Vassell go, and putting him and getting a De'Aaron Fox. I don't know how I think Chris Paul's just a rental for now, so I don't think he's going to be there long. So they need to find that point guard that's going to be their future. I think that could be Fox. So I think they want to win now, and obviously Wemby wants to win. So they're going to bend to his will. Excuse me. They need Vanderbilt to get healthy. Yeah, I mean, the Lakers, low key, the Lakers have a solid team if everybody's healthy. They have a sneaky good team, and they're not super old. That's the key. They got young players that they can go out there and run with teams. It's just when LeBron's in there, they got to slow it down so he can he can do his thing. But if they have all their pieces together, they're a sneaky team that could make some moves in the playoffs. I just don't think they can beat Boston. But I think they could possibly. I don't see anybody out west that's really that dominant right now. OKC, but OKC again, they're just too young, too unproven. We saw what Dallas did to them. When we slow out a game and you have somebody that's physical and able to kind of absorb some of the stuff that Lou Dort and those guys give them, like a LeBron would be able to do in spurts, not throughout the whole game, but when you're in a close game situation, when you have a guy like LeBron, Lou Dort's going to be he's going to pretty much dominate somebody like him. And they don't have the players, as good as SGA is. We've so far seen him crack under pressure, and the spotlight was too big for him last season. The spotlight was too big for him in the NBA Cup final. So, I don't trust SGA just yet. I have to see him put it all together. So, the Lakers, if they get everybody healthy, they're going to be a tough team to beat. I think the Denver Nuggets will swing for the fences. I think they see now that, their core just isn't it. Because if you think about just losing last year, they did better in 2024 than they did in 2023, their championship season. But just losing KCP has been a big major factor for them. So I think they've got to make a move. And if that's Jamal Murray, if that's Michael Porter Jr., they're going to have to do something. Maybe they move Russ into the starting point guard position. A little dangerous when it comes to playoff time, but he's capable. And maybe go for Zach LaVine. I think they have to do something, though, because you don't want to waste Jokic's prime years and peak years with a team that just doesn't have it. And, too many guys have kind of backtracked as far as how good they are. So I think, they're going to swing for the fences this trade deadline, and I'm interested to see what they try. Now, this is a crazy one, but hear me out. I'm going to say KD is traded. If the Suns don't do anything of note, I know they would rather trade Bradley Beal, but that's going to be a tough sell. Excuse me. So I think their only option is to go for the older one, KD. Where he goes, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I could see him, I could see the Phoenix Suns, kind of scrubbing their hands of KD. So I've been hearing people say that Jokic has the best peak ever. I think you can make an argument for it because really what he's doing is unheard of. And if he was winning more, especially this season, now what he's doing this season is just phenomenal. If he was winning this season, that would be an easy yes. He has the best peak ever because he's doing it in so many different categories. He's rebounding, he's assisting at a high level, he's scoring at a crazy level. But they're not winning. And if they were winning, this would be like Wilt. Wilt has some crazy seasons, as you know, and where he averaged 50 points, 20-something rebounds. But at the same time, that was one of his knocks. They weren't winning like they could have been. So I think if Jokic, if he can finish strong then that might be a true statement. Jordan, Kareem. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the totality, like I said, I don't think I don't think Jokic is going to win. So his peak isn't going to be worth what those guys were. Those guys' peaks amounted to winning a lot of games and being dominant, winning those games. So that's going to be the knock on Jokic. He can put up numbers similar to those guys, but you can't win. That's the key. Also, doesn't have the defensive. No, he doesn't. He definitely doesn't have the defensive ability of none of those guys. Yeah, his. You see, that's the thing. He's dominant in a different type of way, but we've got to. We're so, I guess, programmed to not care about defense anymore. That we kind of look at his offensive numbers and say, "Man, this guy is he's the greatest player in the league." At least when we say that about Giannis, for the most part, even though he's had a little slippage defensively, he was doing it on both ends. Giannis was a beast on defense, and he was a beast on offense. Jokic, not so much. He's a solid help defender. He does things that are fairly smart for the player he is. He's not a rim protector, and he's not a guy that's going to challenge. People will come in and go at Jokic if they have to, and what he's done well this season is he's been in passing lanes. He's been able to deflect passes and do things of that nature, but he's just not a stopper as a big man, and I think that's really going to hurt him. He's never going to make an all defensive team, never. So that's going to hurt his case because all the greats have at least, even Magic. Magic wasn't a solid defender, but he had some steals titles. So yeah, even if you don't win multiple deep, and there is no team like it. Yeah, the West is wide open. I do agree with that, but this version of the Denver Nuggets, I don't see them as a huge threat. They have no consistency. He's the only pretty consistent player on the team, and it goes back to the Lakers and team and LeBron and teams like that, where if you are going to be consistent, but nobody else on the team is, your numbers going to look great, but those great numbers aren't going to lead to wins. Let's go. My next prediction is Golden State will try to make a big splash. That doesn't work. And I'll talk about that in a second. Bronny will live in the G League. I think that's not a crazy prediction. I have nothing against Bronny James. I'm not one of those creators that want to, just down. He's a kid. He's close to my son's age. I want those kids to be great. I want any kid that has dreams and aspirations of being an NBA player and getting that opportunity. I want them to do well. I don't want to talk bad about them, and I don't understand why people want to, just kill these kids, because that's exactly what they are. They're kids. So I think he's going to be a G League player for a while. But I hope the best for him. I don't think he's ready for the NBA, but I think he's getting his confidence up being in the G League. And I think that's where they should have started him out. If they had done this from the get-go, not put all the pressure on him to be a part of a Laker brand that is just, crazy lineage, or crazy, just people know the Lakers more than they know, many other teams. So having to put him in that position was bad, number one. But number two, he's not NBA ready. He's a 55th pick. He's playing like a 55th pick, which people seem to not understand that he's playing at the level he should be. He's not a lottery player. So he shouldn't be getting a whole bunch of time, and he shouldn't be scoring 15, 20 points in an NBA game. He should be at garbage time. He's not Dalton Connect. That guy was they were lucky to get him. They were lucky he wasn't a lottery pick. So people just have to, just if you don't like LeBron, I mean, I'm not a LeBron fan myself, but I want the kid to do well, and that should be your whole thing. You want I want Gilbert Arenas' son, Trevor Ariza's son, Matt Barnes' sons. I want these guys to do well because they could potentially be the future of the NBA, and they have some type of lineage from players before them. So you want those guys to kind of carry on a tradition, and you can kind of plug them in if they can be great. Go ahead and plug them in, and you could say, "Oh, this is Gilbert Arenas' son, one of the best players in the NBA. He was once a great NBA player. This is LeBron James' son, one of the best players in the NBA." You have that storyline, that narrative already there. So, and that's what the NBA needs. They need those players that have some sort of history and something that they can market them with. You see his jersey sales are crazy. So, we'll see. But I want the best for him. But I think he's going to be G League bound for the next, for next year, at least. My final prediction. I made this on our podcast channel. A lot of people had differing opinions, but I'm going to stand by it. I think 2025 is going to be LeBron's farewell tour. And I know that's crazy talk to some people. He's playing great, and I feel like he wanted to do the 82 games to show, hey, I'm 40. I got, better stats than Jordan. I was able to play every game. And that was his way of showing us that, he could do it at a high level at the same age as, Michael Jordan. But he couldn't do it. But I just think that 2024 into 2025 is the perfect setting for a swan song for LeBron. And I said it in that video, and I'm going to say it again. 2024, he got his team into the playoffs. They didn't do that well, but, he still played. He showed that being, 38, 39, he could still play well. He was the flag bearer for the Olympic team. He was a part of the Olympic team at 39 years old. That's crazy. He was a starter. He was one of the main players or focal players on that team. He essentially led the Team USA to a gold medal in a tough tournament. It wasn't easy. So they had to grind out some of those games, especially, the game with Serbia and, of course, the game with France. Those were games where it took every bit of what they had to get there. Now, no matter how you feel, he was the Olympic MVP. He has that on his resume now. He had the optic of, and he's got the bucket list check off of being able to play with his son. His son was drafted to his team. We can talk about how that happened and the back end stories on that. But either way, his son was drafted to his team. He got the photo op of going into a game with his son and be on the same NBA court as his son. Now, that's a mic drop because, nobody else has been able to do that. So I just don't see what LeBron has to prove beyond what he's done. I felt like he wanted to be able to get to a point where he could play in the NBA with his son. He was able to do that. Now, is his son NBA ready? No, but being able to play on the same court as his son in an NBA game, I'm sure was monumental. It was something every father, I wish I could be on the court with my son, even if it was the YMCA, if I could play at a level where I could, do something on the court with him, I would love to, but, I'm 44 years old and, my body just ain't like that anymore. So the fact that he's able to do that, I think, was phenomenal. And I think unless the Lakers have a deep playoff run, get to the finals, maybe lose in 6, He might say, let's run that back because we had all the pieces. We just might need to find that one piece. And, they find, a little something over the summer and, he runs it back. But I just don't see him having anything left to prove. So I think that this will be LeBron James' final season. I think he's going to Tim Duncan it. He said he could, do it like Kobe and have a whole farewell tour, or he could Tim Duncan it and say, you know what, I'm not coming back. And I think that this would be, all the turmoil with the Lakers and, them talking about firing Rob Pelinka and things of that nature. They just made a move. We'll talk about that later. But with all that said, there's nothing left for LeBron to prove. And I think ending it this season, ending it with a gold medal, ending it hopefully with a deep playoff run at the age of 40, ending it with solid stats. I think ending it being able to have said, I played on the same NBA court as my son in an NBA game. I mean, there's no better way to end your career than on that note, in my opinion. Now, winning a championship, obviously, and could the Lakers do that? We'll see. But I think that this is LeBron James' last season. And if so, well done. I'm not you'll see me talk not the greatest on LeBron on this channel, but for the most part, I admire greatness, and he's a great player. He's been a great player. So if this is his last season, I will salute him. And I think he picked the perfect time to say goodbye to the game. I think we'll miss him. Despite the stuff we say about him, despite the negative comments and the negative videos and the negative opinions we have on him, we're going to miss LeBron James when he's gone, because he has provided us with must-watch basketball. He's given us many things to talk about. If he wasn't great, we wouldn't be talking about him. He wouldn't be a clickable option when we create content. This ain't, I could go right now and make a video on Carmelo Anthony. Maybe a few clicks. I can go right now and make a video on LeBron James. Different, a different scenario. Both great players, but one has made a much deeper impact on the game. So with that said, the farewell tour has begun. I believe, I don't know how deep their run will be. But I think when all said and done this summer, we'll get that announcement that we've seen LeBron James for the last time in an NBA jersey. But what do you guys think? What are y'all predictions for 2025 and beyond? Do you think, I'm crazy for any of these? How do you like the best and worst, craziest, dumbest, all those, my wish list? Please let me know in the comment sections. Once again, we appreciate you guys. I really do. You guys have made 2024 a great, great year for this channel. I don't do a whole lot of live streams. When I do them, I really enjoy them. I enjoy you guys coming out, interacting. Shout out to my man Random Clips for really showing some love tonight. Really good points he made. And, hopefully we can get a Giannis NBA final at some point. But yeah, I just appreciate you guys. It's not about the money, even though, I enjoy that part of YouTube, but that is not what I'm here for. I'm here because I enjoy doing this, and I hope you guys enjoy what I put out. I don't have the production of some of these other guys. I don't have, I'm not the greatest talker in the world, but even with that, I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy basketball. I love basketball. So I'm going to talk it until I can't talk it anymore. So with that said, I do appreciate you guys for showing up tonight. Appreciate you guys on YouTube. Those over on Twitch, if you will watch it on Twitch, I appreciate that. We're going to try to bring more of a presence over to that app. So I'll be doing more things on Twitch. If you haven't followed the GOATcast podcast, please do that. Myself and Big Nige will be back on New Year's Eve to talk about, some of these transactions going on and the things going on currently in the NBA. Shout out to him. Shout out to my man Sports Talk Only. GOAT Talk Only. We didn't have it this past weekend, but it will be back in 2 weeks. So come check that, where we only talk about the GOATs in the NBA. And I do have a video that I'm pretty happy about coming out this week. Another highly defensive part of that series, where I will take a look at Kawhi Leonard and Michael Jordan as defenders and see who was really, truthfully, the best at their peak. So I really hope you guys check that out. And shout outs to some of the content creators that have helped this channel along the way. My man Sports and Fitness Rant, shout out to you. Michael Jordan fans are the best. Dart and them. Sports T, who's been a presence on the channel. We do appreciate you. Once again, Sports Talk Only. Big Nige, a casual sports fan. If you haven't checked out Casual, check out the Discord. I'm gonna put that in the comment section. I'm gonna pin that. Go to that Discord because there's a lot of debate, a lot of good basketball talk. If you enjoy the game of basketball, please get onto that Discord and join us. They're probably there right now. They're always in there talking basketball. We did an MVP tier list last night, so check that out. His crew, my man Zeno from Vandy Sports Debates, appreciate you. Even FYF Sports, those guys over there, we appreciate you guys showing up sometimes and helping the channel out. And we will be back in the new year. I will try to do a few more live streams going forward. It's not easy for me because of my schedule, but I will try to make time. Hope you guys will join me. Once again, appreciate you guys. And this is ready for the reaction. Even though I didn't do much reacting, I did more of a year in review this episode. But I do, once again, appreciate you guys. And I'll be back soon. And we're going to try to make 2025 one of the best years of this channel's career. Even though it's a short career, we're going to make sure we make 2025 better. We're going to try to produce much more and have some high quality stuff for you guys. So check you guys out later this week. Be on the lookout for that Michael Jordan versus Kawhi Leonard highly defensive video. And I will see you there.